this is very much outside of our comfort zone.
Yes. See, that's what happens to me. I blank. It happens to me
You
every
don't.
time.
Yeah. I'm blanking, you were.
Hi. We as the Cities of Refuge research team are very happy that the European Journal of International Law has accepted our article Frontier Cities. Now, we do realize that not everybody has the time to read a 10,000 word article. For this reason, in this short video, we would like to explain the key points that we are trying to make and to convince you why the rise of local authorities and cities is a development deserves to be considered an opportunity under international law in general and human rights law specifically.
Let's just take a first look at what's actually happening with local authorities. All over the world, in many different fields, you see local authorities really taking responsibility for global challenges, for climate change, for protecting against poverty, for human rights. One example could be that of the USA withdrawing from the climate agreement. When President Trump withdrew US support, he said that he was elected by the people of Pittsburgh and not the people of Paris. And then the day after, the mayor of Pittsburgh went online to say that he and his city would actually comply with the agreement by the letter. Well, this is but one example of local authorities taking the lead on global issues, which begs the question how international law relates to this development. Well, I suppose that international lawyers amongst you know that this is actually very little the case. Classically, international law, and I think I'll draw this, is very much the prerogative of nation states. Like billiard balls on the international scene, they close agreements, treaties in which they agree amongst each other to address global challenges. At times they form international organizations to also play a role in these challenges. But how these nation states subsequently carry out their promises, who's responsible, in what way, is of no concern whatsoever to international law. So what we see here, in a way, is really the thing on its head. We see local authorities acting as frontier cities, taking the lead in global issues. This is interesting, specifically because of the position of international law at the moment. International law at the moment faces two big challenges, one could say. The first challenge is that of effectiveness. It's simply not delivering on its promises, whether it concerns climate change, human rights. The paper promises are not made into realities. Another challenge for international law is that under the heading of legitimacy, people are increasingly doubting the relevance of international and European organizations. Now, local authorities, with their closeness to the people, can of course really play a role in addressing these challenges. Maybe it's good if we give an example.
One example that we give in our article is the reception an emergency shelter for undocumented migrants. Cities such as Utrecht, but also other cities in the Netherlands, were willing to go beyond what the national government decided in trying to provide such emergency shelter. Now, in order to make these plans a reality and to realize them in contradiction to their own national government, Utrecht decided to go to the international stage and to use in particular the European Social Charter and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights to make the point that such emergency shelter was in fact not just a discretionary act but very much an obligation. In doing so, it addressed, for example, the European Committee on Social Rights, which eventually come to hold that Utrecht was right, and that indeed such economic rights emergency shelter was indeed a legal duty for the Netherlands to provide. Now, international legal scholars are not completely oblivious of such developments. In fact, some have recently started to conduct research on this evolution and have come to really trace this development in recent years. However, in our view, the rise of local authorities and cities should be seen much more than it currently is as an opportunity rather than only a challenge. In our article, we mentioned specifically 3 points which could be the basis for a research agenda. Firstly, cities and local authorities are public bodies. As such, it is very interesting to see them rely on international human rights law at a time when this framework is very much to be considered to be in crisis. Secondly, looking at what local authorities, cities can do under domestic law, including constitutional administrative law, we might learn more about the specific legal conditions under which human rights can become a reality. Thirdly, and most controversially, we might learn something about legal subjecthood, in particular when looking at crisis situations such as the 2015 European refugee crisis, in which cities were the ones to provide services, shelter, emergency reception when nation state failed. Do cities and local authorities at that point become billiard board games and part of the game? We hope that we were able to trigger your interest in our article.
And maybe it's.
Oh, you want to do this actually? Yes.
I can do, and then okay, and then I'll also say that it's for free.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Open access, not for free.
Okay, yeah. So we hope that this has sparked your interest in our article and that you'll be inclined to read it. It is available open access, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. Thank you.
I think that was the best one.
Moritz, it could be that this is much too long.